Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News. Today we're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimli on DTT because we're free to on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Finance Minister hints of possible structural reforms under the IMF program. We'll tell you about what he's been saying about the school feeding program and the LEAP program. Also, former Greek Minister Dr. Ofori-Atta poised to use the Greek sector to save Ghana's economy from the woods more as he files his nominations at the NPP headquarters. Meanwhile, the NDC's candidate in Asin North Parliamentary by-election says the decision by the court to have his latest case heard on a daily basis does not scare him. And in the maiden edition of our latest feature series, that Flood of Trauma, we'll tell you about how some flood victims have constantly lived in fear anytime it gets cloudy and how that is impacting their lives. We have details plus business, sports, showbiz, all coming up in this package. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, on Joy News on TV. My personal handle on Twitter is @Danana Aisha. Please stay for details. Finance Minister Ofori-Atta is hinting at structural reforms under the IMF program, briefing the media about the latest on Ghana's program and government's ambitious growth agenda. Ofori-Atta said the school feeding budget will be increased. He added that payment of bi-monthly stipends to households under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program LEAP will be doubled.
In line with our tradition of compassion and care for the underprivileged, we expect to strengthen social protection through increases in social spending to protect the most vulnerable and the poor from the impact of adjustment under the program. Recall that the 2023 budget already made specific provision for one, doubling the LEAP payment per beneficiary household from 45 cedis per month, increases in the number of beneficiary households from the current 344,185 households. Coverage will be expanded to all 2.5 million extremely poor individuals by 2024. We plan that by end September 2023, an indexation mechanism will be introduced in the LEAP program to prevent erosion of value over time. Increasing the budgetary allocation for the school feeding program to compensate for higher costs of meals and also to ensure more efficient management of the program. Increasing the capitation grant over time as part of measures to improve foundational learning.
We'll be getting more on the school feeding program, but part 1 was the genesis. Part 2 is captioned Hero to Zero. In part 2 of A Nation That Begs, we'll tell you how Ghana, Africa's top producer of gold, moved from being a hero in the Eurobond market to begging for debt forgiveness. Here are excerpts.
Fellow Kukrudites, we were elected to fix the problems, and I'm glad to report that we are fixing the problems.
The Ghana cedi has been classified as the worst of African currencies, with the worst spot returns tracked by Bloomberg.
This government is under intense pressure to return to the IMF for a bailout in the wake of harsh economic times.
We will not go to the IMF today, we will not go to IMF tomorrow, and we are not going as long as the NPP remains in power.
As my colleague, Deputy Minister said, we are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not.
If because of political pride and the rest of them we don't want to go, that is a different thing altogether.
Once the government, on our behalf, whether I like it or not, says we are not going to the IMF, then my position changed. Then show as an alternative.
The good thing though is that it does show that being an IMF program imposes more discipline. Because this government itself argues that all the way until early 2019 they were doing brilliant. What that means is that they were doing brilliant during the IMF program.
We can now go back to our earlier story of Finance Minister announcing that the school feeding program money or budget for that program will be increased. I've been joined by Dr. Dr. Peter Anti, I beg your pardon. He is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. I'm grateful for your time. I mean, you over the period have been worried and complained, on several platforms about the less than 1 cedi amount allocated to a child for food daily. And the Finance Minister today says that the amount will be increased. Satisfied?
Yeah, thank you and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. I don't think it's satisfactory enough. I don't believe that we should have gotten to this stage. I think that people who have the authority to take these important decisions about the feeding of our kids in our public basic schools should do so without the kind of pressure that will be mounted on them. And I believe that they know the importance of this particular policy, and that is why it's been sustained since its inception in 2005. So I think that this is something that should have happened earlier on, and it should be instituted as early as possible. Again, I don't know the nature of the increment, because as I've been made to believe, the Finance Minister did not indicate the amounts that they are increasing the feeding to. And that is a very important bit of the whole advocacy that we are doing, because we need to know how much they are going to pay for the kids. The last time the caterers spoke, they were looking for 3 cedis. And then I heard also the minister saying that they will be paid 1 cedi 20 pesos. And the caterer said that it wasn't enough. And they were even saying that if it's pushed to 2 cedis, that would be enough for them without the taxes. So we need to know. The Minister of Finance should not give just an open statement like that without giving us the real amounts that they are going to pay these caterers. And we should also understand that those of us with our kids in private schools pay between 10 to 20 cedis a day for the feeding of our wards. So it doesn't make sense to me that giving these caterers even 5 cedis will guarantee any quality food for the kids, and that should also be pushed forcefully for the Minister of Finance to also take that into consideration as they think about increasing the school feeding budget.
Ideally, if this program must improve, what should be the situation?
Well, I think that, you see, I've said this on other platforms, that the documents that was reviewed in 2015 by the Gender Ministry is a perfect document that should be the blueprint that should guide the implementation of the school feeding program. And if you look at that document, it tells you the various ways that we can finance this policy. It shows you how this policy can build up the local economy and empower people within the various communities that are benefiting from the school feeding program. Unfortunately, we've thrown the documents away, and we are implementing it in a way that we think it's okay. And I think that we should go back to this. I also believe that the amount of money that is being pushed in here should be enough to ensure quality food for the kids. And in doing that, if you are able to pay these caterers the requisite amount of money that they need to be able to function well, We can also now do the quality assurances, because as it stands now, you are giving them 90 pesos, you are giving them 120 pesos. How do you go and check the kind of food that they are giving these kids? Because you know that that money that you are giving them will not be enough to serve, to provide any nourishable food for these kids. So how do you ensure this quality bit of the feeding that you are supposed to check? And that is why we need to give them the requisite money that they need, and then we can check the kind of food they are giving our wards. Then we can hold them to accountable when they cook anything at all and they are serving the kids with it. But as it stands now, quality assurance becomes difficult to do because you are not giving them the money that they need to be able to serve the kind of food that the kids the kids require.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Peter Anti is Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, and he says that the government must do more to actually improve the program. Let's do politics, because the NDC's candidate in that Senate North by-elections, James Agyakye-Kwesen, has described the schedule of hearing into the criminal case against him as a ploy by the executive to intimidate him. On February 12, 2022, the state charged Mr. Kwesen with 5 counts: deceit of a public officer, forgery of a passport, knowingly making a false statutory declaration, perjury and false declaration. The court, presided over by Justice Mary Yanzo, has announced that the case will be heard on a day-to-day basis beginning Tuesday, June 20. Reacting to the latest twist, James Agyakye-Kwesen says the development does not scare him.
I said it. Even if they want to give me a bedroom in the court, I still know still wait for me. If they want me to see me in court every hour, which means I can't leave, they should give me a chamber to sleep there. I'm still going to stand strong and tall and fight for my people. So for JM and Mahama and those guys, they all understand. They all understand what I want to do for Asino and what I want to do for Ghana. Why are we frustrating our own kind?
Say 27th.
How many people are going to into Abamano? Me, your question, me to Abamano. Before I start election, voting, before I start the voting, the crime leading one vote. And then the chair say, me to Mamma, what I say, or not to man. And then she, and ya dear Hammy, almost diet to a background, and family court. The court is so quite the whole day now. Some we have been now the whole day, so I know be not for more you cover cramo. So I say, see a schedule time I'll be 11 to 1. Mafia and Makanopa, me buy Mesabe, and that's time I buy, me sack 5 communities. You know what I mean? Because they mean a lot to me. Let that not you me buy me for 5 communities. Yes. Your question. Vishna Medifi Canada me buy 3 years ago no, and one Adamitri. And nothing can change it. The only time I bet me as someone I seen no people say they are taking their mandate away from me. Omaka say, Papa Afedi Abreu, Yendi Wachibiwa, my job is done. But so long as they stand behind me, I'll never relent. And then the Omopebiani and Canada, me call community be bear na 11. We drew I'm surprises I'm a bit draw. Omoba almost say, Oko Court Yachua to Mumba.
Former Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Ofori-Atta, says he intends to use the agricultural sector to take the country out from the trenches of the IMF. According to him, his 6-year service under the Ofori-Atta government has laid the foundation. So he, if voted to lead the party and eventually wins national elections, he will transform the economy. He has therefore appealed to the delegates in the party to vote for him. He addressed the media after filing nominations to contest the NPP presidential race.
I can assure you, the same way I was able to bring agriculture to the front line of policy discussion, it will be the same way that agriculture will be used to take us out of the clutches of the IMF. Because the agricultural sector in this country has great, great potential, and we haven't even scratched the surface of it. During the 6 years of my service in the Ofori-Atta government, we laid the foundations, both in terms of programs, in terms of legislation, in terms of intellectual capacity and all that, to build an agriculture which will provide the finances, both foreign and local, to finance our industrial development, to finance our education, to finance our health, to finance our infrastructure, including motorways, farm tracks, and all the requirements that we need to make a good country. I'm therefore assuring you that having taken this first step today on the road to 26th of August for the superdelegates, I'm appealing to the delegates. I'm talking about the polling station executives, the electoral area coordinators, the constituency executives, the regional executives, the national executives, the Council of Elders, the patriots abroad who are with our branches all over the world. I'm appealing to you that when the time comes, vote for Ofori-Atta. He will make this party great again, and will also turn things around to ensure that this country becomes.
We can now cross over to the NPP headquarters, where my colleague Samuel Mbura is pitching camp for us. Mbura, how are the delegates receiving this message from Dr. Usuk Ofori-Atta? Hello, Mbura. Hello, Mbura, can you hear me? Right, we'll try and get Samuel Mbura to join us with more from the NPP headquarters. We were told earlier that former Energy Minister Boachi Ejakun would also be filing his nominations. When we get Mbura, he'll be telling us more if that has happened already. He would also be telling us about the delegates who the former Agric Minister had been appealing to vote for him to become the leader of the party in the 2024 elections. Do we have Samuel Mbura? Samuel Mbura, if you can hear me, what has been the reaction of delegates to Dr. Ofori-Atta's request that they vote him to lead the party in the 2024 elections? All right, so we're having a bit of a challenge with Mbura. We'll get him to speak to us. But Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has meanwhile been alarmed at the monetization of elections in the country. Addressing a public lecture on 30 years of parliamentary service in Tamale, the Speaker said the menace is affecting Ghana's democratic gains.
There is no doubt that a lot of progress and achievements have been made in the democratic practice in Ghana. There is also no doubt that the system has been plagued with a lot of contradictions, corruption, mismanagement, numerous challenges, and self-inflicted wounds. There is no doubt that the balancing act in the hybrid system was not well thought through, and Parliament has been turned into the weakest link in the governance architecture. There is also no doubt in the minds of objective observers that Ghana is backsliding in its democratic journey. The recent call on Ghana and Ghanaians to accept the reality and collectively stand up to the challenge of the creeping lawlessness And national disintegration is a call that must be responded to decisively. We should not continue to remain oblivious to the political development in our sub-region and their implications for our country. We should not continue to gloat in falsehood and live in a fool's paradise, thinking Ghana is gone beyond what is happening around us. Not at all. We should not go to sleep or rest on our oars. Our beloved country is yet to consolidate and entrench the culture of multi-party democracy. The significance of the 30th anniversary celebrations, therefore, needs no emphasis.
Let's now go back to the NPP headquarters, where former Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko has arrived to file his nomination. As you can see in the footage there, Boakye Agyarko is receiving a rousing welcome from the supporters and hopefully delegates of the party who have gathered at the NPP headquarters. He's supposed to file his nominations this afternoon. Our colleague Samuel Mbura will be telling us more. It does look like he has finished filing the nominations and he's actually leaving the premises of the NPP. We'll get more from Mbura when he joins us. But just as you can see there, he is the second to file his nomination today after Dr. Ofori-Atta, former Greek minister, did so earlier. Dr. Konadu Apreku, former trades minister, was turned away because his forms were not complete. So the party asked him to go and complete those documents and bring back so he can file his nomination. So you can see that two of them have filed already. We know Dr. Baumia and Alan Tremantin have also filed. That makes it 4. We'll be bringing you more as and when we get those ones coming in. Despite government's many promises of ensuring floods do not continue to wreak havoc in flood-prone areas, some persons say they live in fear at the gathering of the rains because every drop in their vicinity results in floods affecting their property and health, aside the emotional torture they endure until the waters recede. Hannah Odame has been speaking to them in our feature series titled Floods of Trauma.
Another big problem is that of poor drainage in our towns and cities, which leads to flooding during the rainy season. It is time to deal with these long-term problems and find long-lasting solutions, and we're doing just that.
This sound of rain and its accompanying breeze sends many to sleep, snuggling safely and comfortably in a firm textured bed. For others, however, it is an announcement of despair.
Because these days, when it rains just between 2 to 3 hours, then we get afraid.
This has been Irama's fear for years. The gathering of the clouds does not bring she and her family any joy. They rather experience fright, confusion, and palpitation.
It is very painful. I must tell you how I honestly feel about this situation. When it begins to rain around 5 p.m. and continues till around 8 p.m., we all get anxious. We get scared, even to put our heads on our beds. And yet we are helpless because we seem not to have any solution. All we can do is to watch the rains drain into our rooms.
An occupational hygienist, Dr. Roland Srebo, talks about the health hazards associated with the floods and dampness that Irama and others who are in similar situation are susceptible to.
And sometimes after the flood has receded, the damp environment can also promote allergic reaction that can easily promote asthmatic attack. So in effect, these are some of the things that flooding can cause. And let's not forget, malaria is also knocking on our doors after flooding, because after flooding we realize that there may be stagnant waters within our community, and this can promote the breeding of mosquitoes, and we know the mosquitoes are the vectors of malaria. So by so doing, malaria infection can increase during this time of flooding.
But Irama, who was born in this house, cannot move out. Her source of livelihood was mainly from renting these 14 separate room apartments to tenants. That is no longer an option because her income has greatly dwindled, with no one accepting to rent a house which gets flooded every time it rains.
Where is that? And I know 2 rooms with 4.
Look behind me. I have lots of empty rooms which I could have rented, so I would earn some income. But I cannot do so because the rainwaters come in and destroy all the property of tenants. I have 2 rooms with a hall. I have self-contained. I have about 6 single rooms with each having its porch. They are all empty. Imagine how much I would have been earning from these empty rooms if I was renting them out. Yet, all these rooms are locked because of the rain. Recently, someone came to rent this particular one, but the rains destroyed all his things, so he left. It is really depressing, but there's nothing much we can do about it.
Irama is concerned about the hazardous impact of the floods on her children and grandchildren, the mental torture, the inconvenience, and the health implications.
Just see these holes in the walls. We created them so that the rainwaters which enters our rooms can seep out through them. By the time I finish that work, I would be so tired. Sometimes, even after 3 days, we will still be collecting rainwater from our rooms. The rain seeps down into the ground. So each time we collect water on the surface, the ones beneath the ground then comes up.
Former overseer of the Assemblies of God Church, Reverend Professor Frimpong Manso, has lashed out at the church for the widespread corruption in the country. In an exclusive interview with Jury News, the chairman of the Small Arms Commission said the inability of the church to influence the fight against canker, is unacceptable.
God told Lot, Abraham, if I get 10% righteous, even 5, but churches are full. My brother, I have a pain. I have been a church leader. I want to hit home so that it affects me. I've been a pastor for 40 years, now retired. Sunday, churches are full. Prayer and fasting, and all these things. So if these people cannot influence our society, then I don't expect anybody. So when I'm talking about corruption, I will not even blame the politician or somebody. I blame the churches, the pulpits. We are supposed to be the salt and the light. So if people go, Yeshirao, Asafu Yehuwa, and he goes to, the next day he's a police officer. The next day he's the headmaster. The next day he's the doctor. The next day he's the next. The next day he's the MP. Taking kickbacks before passing laws. We hear it. I'm not there, so I may be wrong. But the rumor is that if you want a bail or something to go, it depends on how much you have to pay. If somebody should even be approved as a minister or as a there's how much he should pay right from the committees that are set. It's open secret. What kind of nation we are in?
The failure of the church is a result of numerous infrastructural deficits that citizens of the country have had to confront.
Ghanaians, listen, with all humility, if we don't stop being corrupt, the bad roads, the lack of clinics, the lack of schools, the lack of shelter will always be there. So if you are the customs and you are undercharging, you are a cause of the bad roads. If you are a police officer and you are shielding a wrong person, if you are a judge and you are taking goats and sheep to give wrong judgment, all of us, if you are a pastor and you are closing your eyes on wrong and evil things in the church because people are giving big monies, they are feeding you, they are buying clothes for you, they are buying you cars, all of us are part. So the product of corruption, we say the wages of sin is death. The product of corruption, bad roads, lack of hospitals, lack of medicine, lack of good housing, lack of everything, and the destruction and the disaster that is being befallen on us.
We'll take a break on Joy News. When we return, there is more in business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Fast Forward Investment Ghana Limited, a big retailer in Ghana, is bringing international brands to the African market. It has announced a partnership with Charles Terry to introduce the brand to Ghanaian consumers through a franchise deal. Addressing the media at the launch of his new store at the Accra Mall, Chief Executive John Onyeguzoro said the move is to enable loyal customers access the premium men's clothing brand locally. Here's more in this report.
We believe that effortless confidence and style should be easily accessible to every man, and we believe that every outfit starts with a shirt, and every man should own a proper shirt. And here you can see in multicolors there, the three tried truths. Again, they stand by this. It's basic to Charles Dwight. Truth one is that we make British style and quality accessible. So it's not just about the style, it's also about having access to it. The truth two is that we put customer success at the core of everything we do. We are customer-centric. We ensure that the customer is number one, and everything we do is about the customer. And that's why there's a lot of research behind the clothing that we do at Charles Dwight. And the truth three is we make everyone feel uplifted and engaged. Again, if you've visited any of our stores, you'll be engaged. Is there the ties, is there the accessories, is there the formal shirts, everything, the whole gamut of what makes up men's fashion. The launch of Charles Dwight store in the Accra Mall, Ghana, features complete product categories, ranging from shirts, again casual and formal, to polos, to knitwear, where you've got jumpers and cardigans. You've got chinos, we've got shoes, formal and casual. We've got suits, we've got ties, and again, accessories, at all levels to complement what we've got. Overall, Fast Forward Investment Ghana Limited, addition of the Charles Dwight franchise in Africa, is great news for shoppers who are looking for high quality, comfortable, premium, and stylish men's clothing. So we're here, it's called Accra Mall. So what is it about Accra Mall that we must know? Accra Mall is a state-of-the-art retail and shopping center in Accra, located in Ghana.
We are taking you to the Upper West region now, where authorities and pupils of the Dorsey Primary School in the Wild West District are heaving a sigh of relief following the handing over of a 6-unit classroom with ancillary facilities to the school. The project is part of Fidelity Bank's Orange Impact Initiative, which seeks to address challenges in accessing education. Here's more in this report.
Managing Director of Fidelity Bank, Julian Opuni, in a brief remark before he handed
over the new Dorsey Primary School to the community through further light on the project and the impact it has made in the Dorsey community.
I'm very, very glad and delighted to see that the construction was not done by external contractors. It was a collaborative effort between our contractor, and 90% of the labor employed for this school came from Jersey itself. So by including the people, we're happy that we've created some impact and created employment opportunities here within this community. In addition to the infrastructure, we thought it was important to go the extra mile to ensure sustainability and energy efficiency of the school. So I'm delighted to announce that now that the school has been equipped with a solar energy system. And these solar panels will harness the power of the sun to provide clean and renewable source of energy, ensuring that the classrooms are lit 24/7, and also where they need other assistance with regards to the sockets and other electricity supply, that will be provided for by the solar energy that has been provided for the school.
He assured the people of the bank's continued support to the community.
That this is not the last time you will see Fidelity Bank in Jose. We have recently launched our employee volunteering program, and very soon you see some of our staff from Fidelity Bank in WA and maybe outside of WA as well coming to the school to support teaching and extracurricular activities.
Senior Divisional Chief of Dorsey in the Durmo traditional area, Naba Wasedu, commended the bank for the project.
Education is the bedrock of development, and for a bank such as Fidelity Bank, Ghana, to have chosen a hard-to-reach community as Dorsey in the Wild West speaks volumes of a genuine desire by the bank to bring development through education to the community as a social corporate responsibility deserves commendation and gratitude.
One name, however, stood out for praise and commendation by every speaker at the function. Felicia Tenyota Zanko works as a cleaner at the Ward branch of Fidelity Bank, and it is through her persuasion that the project came to the community.
A cleaner, please get this word, a cleaner in Fidelity Bank, who braved all odds with humility to impress her bosses to get Dorsey added to the 15 communities to benefit from this magnificent project consisting of 6 spacious classrooms and an office fully furnished and fitted with solar light to brighten the school at night to enable the people steady to improve on their knowledge.
We'll have the day's latest business stories on the marketplace up next. Sports.
Let's do sports now. On Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Black Stars coach Chris Hilton says he's very disappointed with the outcome of the senior national team's game against Madagascar in the ongoing African Cup of Nations qualifier. Ghana was held to a 0-0 stalemate on match day 5 for the competition in Antananarivo on Sunday, and Chris Hilton says that the major disappointment was the fact that his boys were unable to put the ball at the back of the net.
The game is, as always in every game, there are no easy games, none. We had a lot of possession of the ball, even in the first half. And to change the momentum of the game, we needed to score. Because the longer the game goes, when you don't score, you give Madagascar encouragement. They are playing in front of their home supporters that are cheering them on, and they grow in confidence. So we needed, at any stage of the game, we needed to score, to change the opinion of the game. We had a lot of possession, but we didn't create enough clear chances. And unless you are able to do this, it's very difficult to win games. Yes, we're very disappointed. We came here with an attitude and a mindset to win. But you know, to win a football match, any football match, you need to score goals. And we found it difficult today. The pitch is difficult. It's a very uneven pitch, but it's the same for both teams. And we needed to be more forceful in areas to create more opportunities to score. So the fact that we didn't score is the most disappointing thing.
Dreams FC won the FA Cup for the first time in the history of the club. Head coach Abdul Karim Zito says they will be working with representatives of Ghana when they participate in the next edition of the CAF Confederation Cup.
It's football, it happens. We played our heart out, and Dreams FC were the better side today. They won. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate my senior legend coach Zito for winning today's FA Cup match. I congratulate him for this win.
Do you feel like you could have won this one if your guys have been a bit serious about this game?
Yeah, you took the match very seriously, but unfortunately for us, at the end of 90 minutes, we lost by 2 goals in the field. We need to set our defeat and move on.
Where does this team go from here? Out from the Premier League, lost MTN FA Cup finals.
The FA Cup finals, we lost the FA Cup today, but we are hoping that we get our maximum point from the protest so that we stay in the Premier League. This is what we are waiting for now.
Better luck next time.
Thank you.
That's Gordon Ablode. Hi, coach. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How do you feel? Tell me how you feel now.
I'm feeling extremely high. I'm the first coach to win this cup twice with Asante Kotoko as a player, and today I've won the cup as a coach, so I'm very, very happy.
How difficult has the journey been for you?
Well, there's no achievement without hard work. It was so difficult, but we're focused, most especially when we find ourselves at the bottom of the league. So it made the work so tedious for me. But I tried to separate it. I tried to concentrate on the league. After placing 6, which was a record for the club, we now come back to focus on the champion. And today I thank God that we'll be able to win.
Are you going to be worthy representatives of Ghana when you go to Africa? The question is, will you even go to Africa?
Inshallah, we'll go.
Will you be worthy representatives?
Yes, I've played the African Cup before, and now as a coach, I know what it takes to build a club into that, into that tournament. So we'll go.
The Ghana Football Association, they have announced for a manhunt of a football coach in Tamale who physically assaulted a referee, a female referee, Sakina Nasara, which got her hospitalized in the Tamale Teaching Hospital. They say there's a prize for anyone who is able to give them where they could get to the coach and arrest him. This is our wrap-up sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. We appreciate your company.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News today. Now, ace gospel musician Ofori-Atta, ahead of celebrating 10 years of her flagship event, Tehillah Experience, donated some items to the Boston home on Friday. According to the musician, she has adopted the correctional center since 2016, and it's just right to pay them a visit ahead of the big 10th anniversary.
10 years with Tehillah, bringing us exclusive worship with Tehillah Experience. 10 years of celebration, 10 years of worship, 10 years of grace on your life. You decided to come back from 2016. I recall this one, I can say it because I've been here with Ofori-Atta You've been in and out of here, and you decided to come back again. What is so special about here that you keep coming back?
I think 2016 when we came, I came basically to visit them, and I realized that this is a correctional center, and for me, the youth is part of my ministry, and seeing all these youth, I feel like adopting them, and then in any way that I have to help them, I will. I think we've been to James Camp, and so as part of Ohima Mercy Ministries, we have the prison project. I think we came the other time to do a borehole for them, and after 4 years, I feel like celebrating 10 years, I have to come back, look at how they are, and then ask whatever they actually want us to help them with. So that's basically why we are here.
Meanwhile, Ohima Mercy says she's grateful for the support she's received over the years.
A lot, and mostly the kind of messages you get. You see, one thing that gives me so much hope, gives me that power to carry on with this ministry is the people. And that is why all over the world I call them my royals. The calls, the testimonies, the encouragement is enough. And for me, celebrating my 20 years next year, I believe there's going to be so much revelations, and I was discussing even with you about we going to Ofori-Atta to let people know.
E-vibes, everybody.
Where there are a lot of things we want to unveil. So Ohima Mercy has been celebrated a lot with the kind of people that love my ministry, the help. Even coming here, we have a lot of calls that they want. People are still bringing items, and I believe that we surely bring it to them. So it's amazing.
Now, the CEO of Charterhouse, organizers of the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, believes that the awards scheme has become a platform that shines light on the music industry for both local and international audiences. Speaking on PM Personality Profile with Aisha Ibrahim, Teresa Ayuade explained that through the show, Charterhouse has been able to create a platform for musicians where musicians, both old and new, can take advantage and sell their art.
Whole scope of the industry, I was totally blind to it. So I was having fun myself in the media space and worked in that space, and began to realize that I had a lot of creative ideas. I was a creative thinker. I could put things together. I could organize things. And I realized that, okay, let's move it to this level. So then I met my husband, and then we got married, and then we started having conversations about the industry, and then we decided to set up the Charterhouse. So I had to resign from multimedia, join him, slept at a house, and then we organized the Ghana Music Award. No, I met him while I was a sales executive at Joy FM. He was actually a client.
How did it happen?
He was a client.
And then
I went to sell him advertising. And then we started having conversations.
I see.
And then he happened to live. That's what helped. He happened to live in the area where I was living, which was New Achimota. So he happened to live there as well. So that was the excuse. Oh, I'm giving you a ride home after work. So on the way home, you stop at a place, have a meal, chats, drop you off. And for me, it was a nice ride home.
And one thing led to another.
But we actually started this TV program, Agro.
Yes, Agro.
So he came back. He designed the program called Agro, which was quite interesting for a Nigerian who didn't speak a local language to design a local language program that was hugely successful. So he himself is a creative as well.
I can see that.
So because once you're creative, once you apply the creative thinking, you can put anything together. So he said that, and actually Ghana Music Award was born through Agro, because it was on that Agro platform that was taking musicians to various parts of the country. I think at one of in Kumasi also, he had backstage Ochame Kwame, at that time they were called Achiame. Achiame and Lord Kenya were backstage and they were arguing who was the most popular. That if I go out the front, if I go on stage, you hear the fans, I'll have more fans than you. That was the argument.
Well, on that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today. That's more Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Good afternoon to you, Aisha.
Hello, beautiful.
That was you.
Thank you. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin this afternoon on Joy News Today. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. So enjoy the rest of our program.